Welcome to the Friendly Frequencies podcast. I am your host, Carmen McLeod, and I want to talk to you about all things spirituality and personal development, because these are the things that light up my soul and have completely changed my life and made me into the person that I am. I want to bring you along my journey through self-discovery as I travel the world and expand my consciousness. So if you're interested in topics such as the mind, the soul, and the universe, and you want to continue to evolve into your soul's purpose and become the best version of you, then you are in the right place. Thank you for being here. Hello everyone. I am officially on my last day, or just completed my last day in Vietnam. So I am so excited to be moving on with my travels, with my life, but I am deeply going to miss this place so much. But most importantly, I'm going to miss the people here. So I'm going to do a whole episode today on just what I learned from this place and took from my last month of being here and solo traveling, backpacking. But overall, I think that the most impact that's been had on me is through the people that I met. I made more lifelong friends, just made the most amazing soul connections, just like I did in Cambodia, but completely new and with new people. And I really just am so grateful that I've been able to meet people who I've connected with just more than I have ever really experienced before. It's so interesting. And I think that also, I've talked about this with a few people out here, that I think the reason that you connect so well with people that you meet traveling is because you're both in very open mindsets and states of consciousness, states of being. Like, even people who are not spiritual, they're still so, like, just the energy of everybody out here is so amazing, and we all feel so free, and we're so open to exploration and just kind of figuring things out and figuring life out, and it's like we're kind of all doing it together. And I think that is why also it kind of magnifies. I think that if I had met these people back home, I would still connect with them beautifully. But I think being out here also, it just kind of makes it even more like almost like a movie. Like, I just feel like I fall in love with people, I just fall in love with everybody that I meet, because it's just like, oh, they just, the vibes are so high and so amazing. So I'm just feeling so blessed to have experienced this last month of traveling in Vietnam. But yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit. I'm sitting at the airport. I am heading off. And I was going to kind of leave some of this as a surprise, because I didn't really want to tell everybody yet that I was okay about what my next plans are. Things have changed. My plans have changed. Surprise, surprise. I'll talk a little bit about this. And just because, it really goes along with what I've learned here and kind of learned about myself. And I can't really leave this part out. I'm just going to go with it. And that's okay. If anyone listens to this that I was planning to surprise, whatever, that's fine. But yeah, some things that I learned about myself are, okay, let's start. Where do I start? Okay, well, the first thing that came to my mind that I kind of just noticed, like, I've always noticed this about myself, but the reasoning behind this tendency of mine, I noticed kind of near the end of my travels. So I've always known this, which is that I tend to hang out with more men than women. Like, I've always really gotten along great with guys. I play hockey with guys. I've always done this. I am definitely more, I don't know, that's just my persona. I feel like I just get along with them really well. And so it was no surprise to me that I made, basically all the friends that I've made in Vietnam were guys. And joined a few groups and made some lifelong friends, and it's amazing. And there was never really a problem with this. I don't care. I'm open to making friends with anybody, but it just ends up being this way. But I've been kind of taking a look into this, because I don't really want, like, I love having guy friends, but I would love to make more girlfriends and just be more open to making girlfriends because I just noticed this about myself. Like at the hostels I would stay at, it was like I could just tell that I was only really wanting to make friends with the guys. It's not like it's almost like I didn't want to, it wasn't like I was shutting any girls out. It was just, I didn't really like actively seek friendships from them. And this is something that I've always kind of, it's one of my goals in my life right now is just to kind of reconnect with my feminine side and also like feminine energy in general. So I want to be more open and loving and receptive to other women. And it's nothing that like I love women, like it's just but I always just felt so uncomfortable around a lot of them. I mean, I do have some excellent, female friends, some of my best friends, of course, are girls, but there's very few that I can really like really connect with. But as for men, I feel like I just can connect with all of them almost, right? But but this is something that so I looked into this and or just kind of like was observing myself, observing my thoughts and how I was, you know, and I spent a lot of time with, men over this time in Vietnam, and and it was a lot of fun, but I can see where like, there's I'm ready after being with this many men for so long. I'm ready for some women in my life. Like I'm just kind of ready for that shift to happen. And so, anyways, I just thought it was interesting, like that. I feel like the reason, and I just realized this over the last few days. I feel like maybe the reason that because I noticed. So my like, I feel like when I'm hanging out with these male friend groups, and then like women would come along. So I had a few male friend groups in this country. And then, when they would obviously like they would want to hang out with other girls, of course. And and then they'd invite them into the group and they'd hang out with us and whatever. And not like it was I remember I just noticed that my first reactions were like, "Oh, dang. Like women are coming around." Which is so strange because like why would I think this way? Like who knows who these girls are? What if they're amazing? They probably are, right? But, and I was just always wondering this, like, why do I feel this way towards women? Why don't I want other women around? Why do I want to be the only girl? And I think that I just started to notice that, like, maybe it's because I like attention. Now, I don't really get attention from these men like the way that might think. Like, I'm I'm treated kind of the same as I feel like I'm just treated the same as kind of one of the guys. That's how I've always felt. I'm never really one that anybody hits on or anything because I just think that they know they know my intentions and I know theirs, whatever. So it's not like I really got like a whole lot of attention from the guys I've hung out with and become friends with. But I notice like when other girls are around, like obviously I am now not even not nearly as noticed, obviously, just my presence because, men have one thing in their mind is to hook up with girls. So when other girls are around, like, obviously my male friends are going to be more focused on them, right? Which is totally fine. And so, anyways, I just started to notice this. I'm like, okay. And I started to, which makes sense. I'm like, okay, so yeah, I like attention. And I noticed this in different patterns, this pattern in different areas of my life. So it helped me. I just started to realize that this may be why I don't like kids either. So growing up, I'm the youngest in my family, basically in my entire extended family. I have a few younger cousins like in New Zealand that I've never actually met, but from growing up, I was always the youngest. And I loved it. I loved having all the attention on me. I was the only girl in the family out of my two brothers, and then I, being the youngest and the only girl, I got way more attention than them, of course, and I loved it. And then when I, yeah, when other kids would be around that were younger than me, maybe, or if there was a baby around or whatever, I remember as a kid, like I would not like that because they would be getting more attention than me. So now, I mean, even to this day, I still don't like kids, and I don't know if it's because of this or if it's because of something else. I'm not sure, but it does seem to kind of link. Like when people are around that are younger than me, or like if anybody's around who's kind of taking the attention away from me, I think it actually does something in my head where it kind of like affects me, which is very, it's strange to admit, and it's kind of awkward to talk about, I guess, in a way. Like, makes it does sound like, okay, I always want to be the center of attention, which no, I mean, I don't really want to be the center of attention, of course not. But I think everybody does like attention, to some extent. Like, of course, it's like a validation thing, and I'm willing to admit this. Of course, no one's perfect, but I do like attention, and I do like to be validated. And I think the validation thing was a lesson I learned in Cambodia. So I'm just kind of like, looking at this, and it's so interesting to kind of look at my tendencies from a clearer perspective of like, oh, wow, like it's so interesting to like observe myself this way from like a bird's eye perspective almost. It's very interesting. So that's just something I noticed about myself just in general. Like, I've got to pick apart and kind of see my tendencies around, why I am the way I am. And I've really got to notice how much I am like on the more masculine side of things right now, which is, just kind of how always kind of been. But it's just like more apparent to me, like, especially like, when I go to solo travel in a country, with knowing nobody there, it's more clear to me than, because I have friends at home who I've been friends with for, since childhood or whatever. So it's different, right? I have male friends, I have female friends. But when I go traveling, I'm making all new friends. Like, I'm starting from scratch. So I was really able to notice that who I was seeking friendships with and who I was not. And so it was very apparent to me, like, oh, okay, you are just seeking friendships with men. And that's what I did. And that's what I got. Like, I made basically only male friends. I made a few, girlfriends. But, like, especially out of, like, the lifelong, like, friendships that I feel like, the real connections I made, who I'm like, I'm literally going to go visit these people in their home countries because I connected with them so deeply. Those are the connections that I only had with men in Vietnam. So super thankful for those though. But yeah, anyway, so that's one thing I learned about myself. So along the lines of these friendships that I've made, I have learned, and this is learned through Vietnam travels, also in Cambodia. This one's kind of tied in with all of my solo traveling. And through the people that I've met who have just lit up my soul, it's really, really made me realize what I value in my connections with other people. Like, the people that I have in my life, I'm really starting to see what kind of qualities in another person are really important for me to connect with them. And I think it's shifting. Then it's different now than it used to be. So one word that has come up for me, and this came up through like an astrology app that my friend Jay told me to put on my phone, and it kind of tells you little like, just gives you little, it tells you things each day about kind of your patterns and stuff like this. It's kind of fun, and it actually can be quite accurate. Excuse me. Anyways, a thing came up when it was like, what you value in a, relationship is conversationalism. This word conversationalism like really jumped out at me. I was like, wow, I've heard this word before, but it just like perfectly described what I'm always talking about, which is I'm always talking about how much I love to have conversations. That's why I started this podcast. I love to have conversations about things that light up my soul. Talk about this all the time. And that's why I've connected with these people traveling so much, is because we have all the time in the world to just talk and, just get into all of the topics that I love to talk about. And, all of the philosophical and trippy and weird and all of this. And conversationalist, that's like someone being a good conversationalist. Oh, pardon the noise. Is so important to me that I didn't actually realize how much I valued it until I really experienced it. Being in these conversations all the time, just I never really realized how important this is to me, and it taught me, it taught me a lot about what I value in my relationships. And now I feel like the bar has been set really high from the people that I've met in my travels, just throughout Cambodia and Vietnam. Like I've made, man, you get it, you get the point. But the bar is set so high, and I've had just, I think that something I'm really taking away from this is, you know, the kind of people that I want in my life. I'm very clear, I feel like, on this now. And I thought maybe, I mean, I don't know how I've even felt before. It's kind of, it was so clouded before being traveling because I was so focused on school. School was my life before this. So now I'm just really I'm just getting to know myself so much more and getting to know different types of people. And it's really wonderful to know this about myself and to know who I want around. And yeah, anyway, so that's kind of the next thing that I learned about myself. And I think, okay, what's next? I'm gonna save like I don't know, most exciting one for the end, I think. Um, my love for motorbikes. So I biked the, I biked the Haijang Loop this last week. Just a few days ago, I finished, and it was the most amazing experience of my entire life. I spent this entire month riding around on motorbikes, on scooters, and for the loop, it was a 4-day motorbike trip, which I did on a semi-automatic motorbike, so like halfway between a motorcycle and a scooter, basically. And it was amazing. Amazing. I can't recommend this enough. It was the most amazing experience of my life. And I've experienced a lot of great stuff. So anyways, I've really, really unleashed kind of a really, really amazing joy of mine, which is riding motorbikes. I love it. Not even just on the loop. Like the loop is obviously out of this world, but just riding around. Anytime I'd be in a new city, any city, I'd make friends. They would kind of do their touristy stuff during the day, and I would kind of just, do my own thing because I would just want to rent a motorbike and bike around. That would just brought me so much joy. For me, that was better than any tourist attraction that I could go to. I could just want to ride around and, let the wind take me, and I'd just like explore and test myself on, okay, I'm going to go to this beach, but let's see if I can get myself back home without the map. And, it's kind of fun. So I think that, so this is going to lead into my next thing, but so I really want to, obviously I want to travel the world. This has always been there's always been a plan. But yeah, in every country that I go, I'm going to rent a motorbike and ride around for a few days, few weeks, who knows, I don't know. I loved it. So I really want to do what I did with this loop. I want to do this everywhere in the world and just motorbike around and do that. So this kind of leads into what I want. So some new future goals that I have, which I am really, really excited about. It's pretty huge. For me at least. So I want to keep traveling the world, and my plan was to come home. So just to reiterate, in case anyone doesn't know what my plans originally were, I mean they've been changing all the time, but the last version of what my plans were so I'm in Vietnam, just finished my Vietnam. I was going to go to the Philippines next, spend 3 months there, go 3 or 4 months, whatever. Go to New Zealand, spend about 1 month there, and then come home for the new year in 2023. That was my plan. New plan. After, now I don't know what exactly, something just came over me, and I think I just realized that I want to stay in New Zealand longer. And I was thinking, I'm like, why would I go home for rainy season in Vancouver? And rainy season is basically the whole year except for May to September. So like I would be going home in January 1st, and then that would be the terrible weather up until May. It's like, so I actually I don't really need to go back for anything. So I, thought about it for a bit and decided that, yeah, I want to stay in New Zealand until May. So I am now staying in New Zealand until May. This is like over a year of traveling now that is going to happen. And and what else? So, okay. So, I am coming home so my flight now is gonna take me to Oakland, California, and I'll explain why I'm going there in a minute. But then the flight after this, I'll spend a weekend there, and then I'm gonna go home. So I'm coming home. So whoever's listening to this, if you haven't heard, I was trying to surprise a few people rather than like telling everybody, just because I feel like that'd be kind of fun. I didn't get to surprise the people who I originally wanted to surprise. But I am coming home for a few different reasons, and I can't really get into all the reasons at the moment. But maybe I can definitely get into it in future episodes, but I just can't do at the moment. But irrelevant. I'm coming home for a month. I'm gonna see my family, see everybody, and kind of maybe make a little bit of money before I go back out traveling. Yeah, and then I'm gonna fly my ass back out to Southeast Asia. Which is, yeah, I know it's a lot. I'm really excited and it feels amazing. I'm so excited to see my family and see everybody. Anyways, so what planted this seed for me though was this whole coming home thing. Actually, let's see. Yeah, sorry, can't get into that. I'll explain why in a future episode. But I actually can't talk about it right now. It's classified information. Yeah. So, anyways, sorry. You'll understand so in a couple weeks you'll understand why, and then I'll explain everything then. But I can't really explain why I'm coming home. But I'm coming home, and I just wanted to talk about this now because it all kind of came from, you know, something that I really learned about myself in Vietnam was what I want out of life, or what a new future goal that I have, which is like I just want to keep traveling. So this is something huge that just came out of Vietnam for me. It's like, oh my gosh, like obviously yes, I would, I've been like loving this whole traveling thing the whole time, but I love this just freedom. Like this freedom that I felt in Vietnam was different than I felt in Cambodia. And I thought Cambodia, I was like, that was the most freedom I've ever felt. More free than I felt in Thailand. Thailand was way more free than I felt at home. But like every country, I just get more and more freedom, like significantly more. So trading that suitcase for the backpack gave me immense amount of freedom, like more than ever. And just traveling completely alone, calling all the shots that I want to make, and doing everything just for whatever I want to do, having nobody to just, it was all for myself. And I'm just loving this. I'm loving the freedom. I'm loving the how independent I am and how independent I've become, and how much I'm growing and learning from all of this. So anyways, here's my new plan, my new goal. And it is to spend summers at home in BC, Vancouver area, in BC from May to September. And then every September, I don't know, late September, maybe after my birthday, I'm gonna leave and travel the world to whatever place I want to go next. So I think the next place I'll do is Europe, and then maybe South or Central America after that. Those will be separate, not in the same trip. And yeah, that's my new plan. And this is gonna be like, I'm thinking throughout my 20s is travel for most of the year while it's raining and shitty weather in BC, and then come home for the beautiful summer in BC and kind of do this. This is kind of my new goal, and one of my new goals. I have, lots of them, which I've talked about many of them, I think. But this is what I want for my life now. So very, very exciting, especially, yeah, just especially for me. It's so exciting to think about that this is going to be my life, and that this is my life. It's almost unfathomable that this is the life that I'm living right now, and that I'm literally just manifesting the shit out of this life for myself, and just creating my dreams just before my eyes, and just making decisions solely based on my intuition and what I feel is right for myself and my life, and just being so unapologetic about it and so authentic. And I've never felt more like in love with myself in the best way. I've never felt more confident and certain about who I am and what I'm doing and what I'm here to do. I when meeting new people in Vietnam and like telling them about like what do I want out of life and what am I doing and what's my plan, and explaining like my huge goals that I have for myself. And it's it's amazing. And I've inspired a few people, this is also really cool. I've inspired a few people to kind of rethink, or even just like, to go for their dreams. And I've talked to a few people. There was one guy I met just randomly on the beach, and he and I, sat together, and he was telling me like how he has a YouTube channel, and I was telling him about my podcast. And then he said, "Oh yeah, like I have lots of great content. I've been filming in Vietnam for a lot, and I think other countries as well, for a few months. He's like, I got a lot of content. I just haven't like made the YouTube videos yet, but I really want to do this." And I was like, "Okay, well, like, what are you waiting for? Like, do it." And I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was just me. I mean, I don't think that. I mean, I'm not going to take credit for like. I don't even know if he's made the videos yet, but it seemed like I inspired him to start it. And he was like, he he even in that moment, or just within that one hangout sesh, he kind of, there was some people picking crabs, and just before this, he had kind of talked about his name. I think Black Boy in London. Black Boy from London. That's because he's a black boy from London, and he was saying something about this, and that would be his first episode name, I think. And he and then we saw these people picking crabs, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, wait, no!" I was like, "I'm sorry, I'm messing up the story." I was like, "Oh, is Black Boy from London gonna be like your name, like your gamer tag on YouTube?" Like, I don't know how YouTube really works, so I was like, and he was like, "No, that's gonna be the first name of the episode." I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah." And then we saw some local people picking crabs out of the sand, and it was really cool. They were flashing their lights and like doing it in the dark. And then he was like, "Oh, hey, excuse me, like it's Black Boy from London. Like, I'm making a YouTube video. You can find me at blackboyfromlondon.com," which is like literally, I think he had just created that name when he was talking to me. It's not like he has the website. He doesn't have the channel yet, I don't think. But he basically had it on video and like stated this name and this website, and it was like, "Yeah, you can find me there." And then he started, he asked, "Can I film this for a YouTube video?" Anyways, it was really interesting to witness. It was like a lot of inspiration just came over him through our conversation. And, me kind of hyping him up and telling him, "Go for it, like, do it." And he did have a really great presence, and I could tell that he would be really good at this. So, anyways, this was just a really cool experience. I just felt like I was able to witness how I was just to witness kind of me inspiring someone. And I've had a few other people tell me about how I'm helping them, rethink their lives and just really like go for what they want out of life and what lights their soul on fire. And anyways, I just love to hear these things and just to see already kind of an impact that I'm having on other people. This is exactly what I want, and it's just so amazing. So yeah, what else? Is there anything else? I think I kind of touched on everything that's the most important. Yeah, I think that those are the main things that I really learned about myself, about life. Those are the things I'm grateful for. I'm so thankful for everybody who's supported me, and didn't worry so much about me traveling on my own. I made it home safe, or home, but I'm not home yet, but I made it back safe. I'm good. And I really had, quite a safe experience. Like, really, like, I had a couple things. Oh my gosh. Okay, sure. Let's get into story time. Why not? Since I'm talking about Vietnam, only one weird thing I think happened. A guy, a local Vietnamese guy, I was sitting at the beach by myself, and a guy kind of flashed me. And it was creepy and a little scary, and I ran away. And yeah, he was trying to get me to, yeah, he like whipped his dick out and tried to, like, it was disgusting. And I ran away, and that was that. So I mean, it wasn't like the worst thing in the world, but it was obviously like not not great. So I mean, that's another experience I had in Vietnam. I mean, it's not like I necessarily learned something from that. It was more just like between that and then also like the border from Cambodia to Vietnam. I had the border guards deny me access because my visa was messed up a little bit. It was a day too late, and so I had to kind of be essentially an illegal immigrant in Cambodia for 2 days, which is not as bad as it sounds. Like I literally just had to pay them like $10, and I made my way through the next day. But I had the border guards like deny me access, and then they were all kind of hitting on me and being creepy towards me, like the guards, and I felt really uncomfortable, especially because they have kind of a lot more power. Which, anyways, that didn't end up being like a dangerous or situation or anything. I left and it was fine in both scenarios. Those are only two weird things, I guess, that have happened to me as a solo traveler. But other than that, like really, I've always felt really safe. And like I said, I've had a lot of, I've made a lot of good friends and like kind of just stuck to different friend groups along the way. I actually wasn't alone for that much of this time in Vietnam because, I'm made friends, became social. I'm quite sociable. I was able to make friends, and I traveled to like 3 different cities in a row with one friend group, and then met up with other friends and whatever. So I mean, I always had kind of like people looking after me, which was really wonderful. So yeah, that's Vietnam. I am so blessed and happy, and I am ready to go to sleep now. So I'm gonna head on the plane, and I will talk to you all soon. I also just realized I forgot to tell you why I'm stopping in Oakland, California. So I'm going to the Women's Weekend. Now this is the Sterling Women's Weekend, the Sterling Institute of Relationship. Essentially, it's like like when people ask me, well, why are you going to Oakland? I just like to be short and succinct with it. Is like I'm going to a personal development seminar, is what I say, because that's what it is. It is something along these lines. Essentially, I mean, the context of this course, I don't know what you'd even call it, of this weekend is to basically harness your power as a, person. And let's see, I'm trying to actually think of the context in my head because I actually have it almost memorized. And it's like easier to say this than it is to actually explain, in my own words. So like basically to like harness your true power and to manifest that power in your life and in your relationships with other people and your relationship with yourself. So that's something that my mom has took this course when she was 18, and my dad as well, and both my brothers. My whole family has done it. And my mom did the women's weekend, my brothers and dad has done the men's weekend. It's like an ongoing thing that they practice in their life. My mom has like weekly Zoom call meetings with the people in her who have also done the women's weekend. It's a huge thing. It's a huge part of my family, and just a huge part of like my upbringing. I know like it just really, it's the reason my parents are still together in their relationship, and it's the reason that they are so successful in work and in life. Is one of the main reasons. So anyways, I'm gonna go take this course. So I'm heading to Oakland, California, and I'm going to do the women's weekend, and I will definitely be making an episode on what I learned and any breakthroughs that I've had. I'm going in with 3 goals, and I may or may not. Yeah, I mean, I'll talk more about this after the weekend, and share with you more about how that went. So I'm really really excited, and I'm so excited to come home, and yeah, and then off to the Philippines after that. So thank you for listening. I love you all, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Bye bye.